You finally got a document. I think it was 320 pages now. Who's counting? Are there 218 votes?
Well, I've gone through it. There's a lot of details, but I've digested them all, and I'm ready to proclaim that at least it's something written down on paper,
Fine.
Which was more than we had a day ago. And so I think the Republicans are making progress. The acid test, of course, comes next week. Can Kevin McCarthy get this thing through the House of Representatives? I think if he can, he's going to have some leverage in the conversations to come.
But even President Biden is now using former President Trump's words against the Republican Party. I want you all to take a listen to what Biden had to say about this today.
Donald Trump seeking to increase the debt limit while he was doing what he was doing. He said, quote, "I can't imagine anybody ever even thinking about using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge." I guess he didn't know the new MAGA Republicans he bred.
So Biden today in Delaware talking about the economy. Feels like a campaign event, but obviously he hasn't officially announced. Is that smart politics, bringing Reagan, Trump into this mix?
Well, I think what he's doing is trying to show the Republican hypocrisy of like what they do when they're in power, what they do when they want to actually look like they're standing up to the Democrats, because the reality is everybody's campaigning right now and trying to get political points. I do want to make a point about Biden's speech today. He went and spoke to labor unions. Yeah. McCarthy went and spoke to Wall Street executives this week, right? And that is a contrast that you're going to see Democrats from Biden in the White House and people like myself talking about of like, where is the interest of the Republicans? Is it just the political interests and their very wealthy friends, or the everyday people that these politicians are elected to represent?
Does the administration need to see if Kevin McCarthy has the votes to pass this budget before they decide on the next meeting? That's the point of leverage that remains unknown. Does that key the next move here?
I mean, I think so. They want to see how many votes he has. Yeah. But the reality is he has this very slim majority. I mean, the last time Republicans were in this position with Boehner, he had enough votes to actually pass, a bill that Kevin McCarthy is trying to do. And so, Democrats are kind of looking at McCarthy like, what can you actually do when you barely made it as Speaker, right? And so I do think that Democrats are going to need to see if he can even just whip his own party with the few votes that he has for a majority.
Lester, what do you think of these group of bipartisan lawmakers who have a different path forward if, things go very, very close to the brink? Does McCarthy support that, or is this kind of meddling into his plans?
Well, I'm all for bipartisanship, and I like it when these groups get together and try to make a difference on policy. And I think they're trying to provide a bridge, maybe to something at the end of the year where all of this could come together. That may be the net effect of what they're doing. In reality, this is Kevin McCarthy's show. If he's got the votes, he's going to matter. And let me just say one thing about President Biden. I think he actually called Barack Obama a MAGA Republican in those remarks, because Barack Obama, when he was in the Senate, was happy to vote against debt increases while Republicans were in the White House.
So does this move the needle for you today at all? Are we going to be talking about a standoff next time you come and see us a couple weeks down the road?
Well, I think we all know this is a long dance, right? This is a long negotiation.
The window's closing, though, Lester.
Is it?
Yes,
I mean, that X-State lands in June. This is a different conversation.
And Goldman has already upped their concerns because the tax receipts have been pretty weak.
Sure, but you can see a bridge to the end of the fiscal year, and that's not an implausible scenario where all of this will come to a head at the end of September, early October, when we're dealing with a budget situation and the debt limit all at once.
So it sounds like the Republicans want to put this into 2024 because don't they want to make this a talking point so they could avoid things like abortion and gun control? Are the Democrats ready to have that debate about the economy, given the fact that inflation has still remained very high under the Biden administration?
Well, I think what you're seeing the president doing right now, him and his administration, they're going out and having a conversation about these bipartisan bills that he passed, like the Inflation Reduction Act, that we know when a bill is passed, it takes sometimes years for people to actually feel the benefits. And so I believe Democrats, we're banking on people finally feeling the benefits. So as Republicans continue to talk about the economy with their no solutions, we can also hit them on the fact that they're attacking abortion rights, not doing anything about gun control, which are actually key issues that the rising majority of voters want to see protected versus, the way that the Republicans are playing these culture wars.
The Supreme Court today, speaking of abortion, bought itself a little more time, as we reported earlier, extending this temporary hold on mifepristone. Lester, what's going to happen on Friday. Do you have a sense of where this is going?
Your guess is as good as mine. I think the polling is clear on this issue. Does the Supreme Court care about that? They might. They may just have a more realistic view of this issue than previous efforts on abortion issues. We'll find out.
But then why do they need 2 extra days?
Well, it always helps to have a little extra talking.
Well, no,
that's what Washington is built on.
But seriously, 2 extra days and bringing it to Friday at midnight. Do you think that sets them up for potentially making a decision that most of America, if you look at the polling, is not going to agree with?
I mean, I'm making this face. I spent 6 years working at Planned Parenthood's national office, so I know this issue very well. And I also know that the Supreme Court likes to give the horrible decisions that aren't on the side of majority of Americans, which includes Republicans and independents as well. They like to wait until the very last minute. I mean, that's what they did with the Texas case a few weeks ago as we were going into Easter weekend. It is really unfortunate that we have a Supreme Court, to be honest, that has sitting justices that were stolen seats, I would say, that are determining the outcomes for people who need health care in this country. This is a losing issue for Republicans. It is the reason that there was a big damper into what was supposed to be a red wave in 2022. And so, listen, they can come out with a decision no matter what it is at the end of the day on Friday, but it still is their losing issue coming in 2024.